Sat in the dark with the TV off, not watching anything, just letting the room exist around me without trying to change it. There was a time silence like this scared me, made me reach for distraction, made me call you without thinking, just to escape reflection. You never asked why I called. You never questioned the quiet. You just stayed on the line until I found my way through it. Tonight there was no one to call, and strangely I didn't try. I just stayed where I was, letting the just to exist without reaching, without expecting. And for the first time, that didn't feel like something missing. Like something missing. Stayed outside longer than I needed to. Keys in my hand, door behind me. Not ready to go in, not ready to go anywhere. The street was empty, just a faint sound of something far away. A car, maybe, or just the night moving on without me. There was a time I would've called you, said nothing important, just shared the moment, so it wouldn't be long only to me. Now it does, and it doesn't feel as heavy as I thought it would. It just feels quiet, like a chapter that finished without needing to close loudly. I don't stand I left the radio off tonight just to hear the road. The tires moving over asphalt, the low, steady hum. There was a time I felt every silence like it meant something was wrong. Like quiet needy fixing, like being alone was too long. But now I let it stay. I let the emptiness breathe, not as something broken, just as something beneath. Drove past the exit I used to take without slowing down. Didn't feel the pull, didn't turn around. It wasn't strength, it wasn't resistance, it was just distance. Stayed the same. I don't replay old versions, looking for someone to blame. I just keep driving through streets that don't know my name, through nights that don't remember who I used to be. And somehow in that anonymity I feel closer to myself than I ever did when I was someone else. I stopped at a gas station I'd never been to, not because I needed fuel, just because I didn't wanna go home yet, didn't want the night to end too soon. Fluorescent lights made everything look unreal, like I was standing inside a memory, not quite present, not quite gone. I watched people come and leave, The headlights lit the empty wall ahead, like it was waiting for me to decide something. I remember nights when I couldn't wait to get inside, when someone was there, when the light in the window meant something, when being expected felt like belonging. Now it's just a window, just a room, just a place where I sleep. And strangely, that doesn't feel sad, it feels neutral, it feels real. I used to think meaning came from sharing everything, from being seen, from being known. Now I understand meaning can exist quietly in the way you carry yourself, in the way you stop needing proof. I turned off the engine and everything went still. No music, no movement, just breathe. I sat there a little longer, not because I was afraid to go inside, but because I wasn't afraid anymore. There's a difference. I opened the door, stepped out, closed it behind me. Not as someone returning to emptiness, but as someone returning to himself. I parked in front of my building, but didn't turn off the engine right away. The headlights lit the empty wall ahead, like it was waiting for me to decide something. I remember nights when I couldn't wait to get inside, when someone was there, when the light in the window meant something, when being expected felt like belonging. Now it's just a window, just a room, just a place where I sleep. And strangely, that doesn't feel sad, it feels neutral, it feels real. sat there a little longer, not because I was afraid to go inside, but because I wasn't afraid anymore. There's a difference. I opened the door, stepped out, closed it behind me, not as someone returning to emptiness, but as someone returning to himself. I stood in the hallway after closing the door, listening to the quiet settle behind me. No footsteps, no voices, just the sound of my own breathing. There was a time I would have filled that silence with music, with noise, with anything, just to avoid the feeling of being alone with myself. Now I let it stay. I walked to the kitchen without turning on the light. Let my eyes adjust slowly, let the shapes become familiar again. Without forcing them, I don't rush through these moments anymore. I don't try to escape them, I just exist inside them until they pass naturally. I used to think peace was something you found somewhere outside yourself, in another person, in another place. But now I see it differently. Peace is this, standing in a dark room, not needing anything to change. letting the room feel bigger than it was, letting myself feel small, no, small in a broken way, just small enough to breathe, small enough to stop pretending there was somewhere else I needed to be. I listened to the faint sound of pipes in the walls, the building settling into the night, proof that even solid things shift, even things that seem permanent move slightly. I used to fight moments like this, tried to outrun them, tried to replace them with noise, with people, with anything. Now I let them exist. I don't ask what they mean, I don't ask what comes next. I just stay here long enough for the weight to become lighter on its own. There's something on it that's about not escaping, about letting yourself remain until nothing inside you is trying to go back again. I close my eyes for a second, not to sleep, just to feel that I was still here, still breathing, still becoming, without needing anyone else to witness it. I stepped onto the balcony, not because I needed it, but because the room felt too full of thoughts that weren't going anywhere. The city was quieter than usual, just a few distant lights still awake, like the world had already decided to rest, to take a break. I leaned on the railing, cold metal against my hands, feeling the night move around me without asking me to understand. There was a time I would have shared this, sent you a photo of the sky, said something simple, just to feel less alone inside. Now I just watch it without reaching for anything, without needing someone else to confirm what I'm seeing. It's strange how calm can arrive without warning, without effort, without noise. There was a time silence made me restless, made me feel like I was missing something, like somewhere else life was happening without me. Now I see it differently. Life isn't somewhere else, it's here. In this room, in this breath, in the way I exist, without needing to be seen, without needing to be held, without needing to be understood. I don't feel incomplete tonight. I don't feel abandoned. I just feel present. And that's real. I just feel present. And that's real. And that's enough. Not because everything is perfect, but because nothing is pretending. I lay back on the bed, fully dressed, not tired enough to sleep, not restless enough to move, just somewhere in between. The ceiling looked the same as always, familiar, unchanging, but I knew I wasn't the same person who used to stare at waiting. Waiting for messages, waiting for answers, waiting for something outside myself to tell me who I was. Tonight there was nothing to wait for. Instead of there was relief. I didn't need anyone to break the silence. I didn't need anything to begin. I just existed there without resisting. This strange comfort and not expecting the wedding time move without you pushing it and realizing you don't have to chase what was never meant to stay. I turned onto my side, closed my eyes slowly, and I'm trying to sleep, not trying to forget, just letting the night pass through me like it always does, without asking permission. Leaving damage and full I lay back on the bed, fully dressed, not tired enough to sleep, not restless enough to move, just somewhere in between. The ceiling looked the same as always, familiar, unchanging, but I knew I wasn't the same person who used to stare at it, waiting for messages, waiting for answers, waiting for something outside myself to tell me who I was. Tonight there was nothing to wait for, and instead of fear there was relief. I didn't need anyone to break the silence. I didn't need anything to begin. I just existed there without resisting. There's a strange comfort in not expecting and letting time move without you pushing it, and realizing you don't have to chase what was never meant to stay. Turned onto my side, close my eyes slowly. Not trying to sleep, not trying to forget, just letting the night pass through me like it always does, without asking permission, without leaving damage. And for once, I didn't feel like I was surviving it. I felt like I belonged inside it. I lay back on the bed, fully dressed. I turned on to nothing. I turned on to nothing. bed, fully dressed. I lay back on the bed. I lay back. I lay back. I lay back on the bed, fully dressed. 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 I got up again without knowing why. Walked into the other room like something inside me wasn't finished. Like the night still had space to move. The floor felt colder than before. Each step more deliberate, not heavy, just aware. Stood there for a moment, listening to the building breathe. The faint hum of something distant, proof that nothing ever fully sleeps. There was a time I would have filled this moment with noise, with distraction, anything to avoid the feeling of my own reflection. Now I let it stay. I let it stay. I don't fight the quiet anymore. I don't ask it to leave. I just let it exist beside me until it becomes part of me. There's nothing dramatic about this, no sudden clarity, just a slow understanding that I'm still here, still moving, still becoming, without needing anything to change. I turn back toward my room, not because I was done, but because I didn't need to keep searching. Nothing was missing. I watching the surface stay perfectly still, like it understood something I didn't. There was a time my mind never stopped moving, always replaying something, always trying to fix something, always somewhere else. Tonight it stayed quiet, not empty, just settled. I sat at the edge of the chair, letting the moment stretch without breaking it, without forcing it forward, without asking it to mean more. It's strange how you spend so much time trying to escape yourself, only to realize you were never the problem. You were just learning how to stay. I placed the glass down untouched, not because I forgot, but because I didn't need it. Some needs disappear when you stop feeding them. I stood there a little longer, feeling nothing urgent, nothing unfinished, just a quiet certainty that I was no longer waiting for anyone, for anything. Just living. Just living inside my own presence. I opened the door to my room and paused, not because something was wrong, but because it felt unfamiliar for a second, like I had just arrived somewhere new. Everything was where I left it, nothing had moved, but something in me had shifted quietly. I walked in without turning on the light, let the dark exist as it was, not hiding anything, just holding space. There was a time I would have reached for distraction, fill the room with sound, tried to escape the feeling of being alone. I sat down slowly,